Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Black Tornado podcast. I am here.
I'm Adam.
Now, I've got a little surprise for you, ladies and gentlemen, because I know it's slightly delayed, but this is we'll call this a celebration of the great state of America's freedom from the depravity of the UK. I was just going to give Adam a little version of what I consider the American national anthem, which is America, fuck yeah! Welcome to the 4th of July, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. 4th of July has passed, but this is the first time we've got together since 4th, so we'll keep it America themed.
And your colonizers will allow you to be free for the week.
Yes.
Although technically you're the colonizers.
Yes, we are. Get that right.
That's what always makes me laugh when people call it, like, they go on about the colonies and blah. I'm like, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
You weren't there first. Let's just get this right.
Yeah, we jacked that.
But, I mean, you were a bunch of criminals. So
yeah.
It's the same with Australia. It's the reason why. But I'm genuinely, this is going to sound strange, but I am a believer that is part of why your society is shaped the way it is. Because the core basis of it was based around the rules set by people who were anti-establishment. So therefore, from the very basis of the same with Australia, the reason America and Australia have the attitudes they have towards everything is because they're generations removed from criminals.
Sure.
Your attitude is based on, fuck you. I'll fight you for it.
Right.
We're the slightly more refined people who go, no, you fight for it. I'll pay for it. It'll be fine.
I love it. All right, so a post was put up on the Instagram a while back asking people what they preferred between theme shows, random play mixes, and then, of course, ranting about Chris Barnes. And to no one's surprise, there was a tie between ranting about Barnes and doing theme episodes. So next episode, we're going to hit you with another theme. People seem to like those.
Unfortunately, instead of us talking, the other 50% of the show is just going to be me going, fuck Corpse Grinder. Fuck every other death metal.
Yes. Exactly that.
So that's your next episode. You voted for it 50-50.
That's right. That's what you wanted. Let's get the show rolling. We're going to check out a band called Casket Robbery. They are from Madison, Wisconsin. The song is called Bone Mother off the album Rituals of Death.
Trees, green, green, green.
we need more heavy as fuck female vocalists.
Yeah, we do.
There's not enough of them out there, and Casket Robbery is a prime example in that it works. And it works well. Really. That track has a really nice groove to it. It's a fun song. And that band, I've been following them for a while now. They're heavy as fuck, man. That's really killer shit. Really enjoy that.
Some real like hammery kicks in there, breakdowny fucking chugs, like type of. The thing that really stuck out for me, this is going to be another Englishism for you, Adam, because you're definitely never going to have used this one in America.
Okay.
That was tighter than a nun's chuff.
Yep, that's a new one.
Yep. A nun's chuff is a minge.
Yeah, well, I got that.
Yeah. So,
but the phrase, I've never heard the phrase.
No, you're not going to. I imagine most Americans don't say tighter than a nun's chuff, but that is actually a saying in England.
All right, folks. Black Tornado Podcast throwing more slang at you.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a proper tight, well-structured, well-organized song. I proper like that.
Yeah, it was fucking sick. Hell yeah. Good job, Casket Robbery. Again, out of Madison, Wisconsin. Got a plug. Actually, the most important plug of the show. Underground Metal on Instagram is running a GoFundMe right now to cover costs for their documentary about Indiana metal. So if you can go throw them a few bucks, awesome. They have most of their equipment. I think of what a lot of it is gas costs, because they don't want to do Skype or internet interviews. They want to come to you, to your band, and they want to do it in person. So I think a lot of it is fuel costs. But anyway, they're not asking for a ton of money. If you go to our Instagram page, you'll find Underground Metal. Yeah, if you can do it, especially if you're from Indiana. If you're an Indiana metal band, this should be priority number one for you. Throw them $5 if you can. Nobody's asking for $1,000. Throw them $10-20. Let's see. Our pals over at Blood in the Cornfields have merchandise up on their Etsy page. If you go to Etsy and you type in Creeperware, one word, it will bring you up. They have, I think they have maybe 3 T-shirts up now, but they're in the process of adding more merchandise to their Etsy page. So if you're a supporter of Blood in the Cornfields, and you should be if you listen to this show, go hit them up, buy yourself a shirt.
And you'll hear this in the show, ladies and gentlemen, but I've just had a new jingle idea for Blood in the Cornfields while Adam's talking. So you will have heard that in our new Blood in the Cornfields jingle.
Yes, I can't wait. All right, let's jump right into some more music. This is Life After Death from Indiana. The song is called Gone.
Of your heart go. How do you heal when you just have to let go? Yeah, I am lost, but not like this. Deep pain is all there is. The hole in my heart will never close. There's tears in my eyes.
got to say, Adam, I know you always come in straight after the song, but I've got to say this. I am in love with that bass tone.
Same. That's it. It's in my notes here. Is the fucking bass tone.
I put that bass tone is beautiful.
That's some good pit music, man. I can smell the stale beer and, oddly enough, nachos when I listen to this song.
What I've got to say, like, and I know I say this occasionally, but I'm going to go in a little bit more depth here. That was a really well structured song.
Yeah.
In that, like it's got everything. Even metal should aspire to pop songs in not necessarily in their structure and stuff, but in the way they work. In that the idea of a pop song is to tease you with as little of the bit you like as possible, as short as possible, make the song really short, and then you're forced to keep listening to it, which makes you buy it.
Agreed.
And what they did in that song, it's got everything which a pop song. It's got a catchy melody part. It's really well paced and like laid out. But then all of the bits that you really remember, you can tell they've gone, right, I don't want to overuse this. So what's the minimum amount of times we can play this riff in this song? Because we'll keep the song short, we'll keep the bits people love short, and we'll make you listen to it over and over and over and over again. Not just once, you will keep playing this song because you love those bits you love. Really well done.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. Big fan of them. I think that was a Corey suggestion. I think Corey threw that one our way.
Well, good man, Corey.
Yeah, if I'm right, thanks, Corey. Appreciate you, brother. Let's see. Soul Grinder Zine has a new issue dropping soon, sometime in July. They haven't given an exact date yet, so keep your eyes open for that. Make sure to check out Soul Grinder Zine on Facebook and get in tune with your Philippines metal bands. And I love Soul Grinder Zine. I look forward to every new issue. Our brothers in Toxemia have a split out. Casey, what's up, brother? You can check out Threshold Records for more info. You can find Threshold Records on Facebook. And check out, Toxemia's new split.
And also, after you've listened to their new split, you can also check out our episode that they featured in our Philippine special. Like That's right. In our Philippine special. So feel free to skip back to that episode and find them there as well.
That's right. We love Toxemia. We played them on the Philippines episode. Those are some great dudes. Love their music.
Ba 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 ba. America.
That's right. All right, let's get into some more music. We're gonna listen to a band named Droon out of Denver, Colorado. The song is called Giant's Blood off the album Droon. intro to the song, the drums, it sounded like war drums, like you're going off to battle, and that was really cool.
It's sort of that I've got that in my notes. The sort of, I don't know whether it's the correct term, and if there's any musicians who really know what they're talking about properly. I don't know whether it's polymetric or polyrhythmic, but there's some kind of polymeter going on with the drums parts there that reminds me of like Tool. The way they'll have like the Congo bongo parts in the background that's going in like a 6 or whatever, while the other part's going in 4, and it's sort of got that weird. And I really like that sort of stuff. It's got a sort of trippy, psychedelic, but also relaxing vibe as well. It sort of pulls you in and cycles a bit longer.
That's what I loved about the vocals, is the vocals were like real spacey, real trippy vocals.
Yeah, they're quite achy as well.
Yeah, I think it really complemented the song well. And again, just that's another band with really cool bass lines, really cool bass. Big fan of that.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed with them actually was like you were saying about the vocals. One of the things I wrote in my sort of notes on the song was that I found this quite interesting. It had sort of a Black Sabbath-y, clutchy sort of, and I know we use those as references. But then over the top of that in sections, there was, and I wrote this, Gojira style vocal patterns over the top, which is what gives it that achy quality, that grinding. And you're like, oh, I'm starting to trip out and get into like a chanty sort of grindy thing that I love.
Yeah.
And then of course there's that fucking dun 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 dun. You gotta love one of them as well.
It's fucking awesome. Yeah, that was a good one. That band is new to me. Found out about them recently, so yeah, thought, hey, we got to play them on the show. Very exciting news. Very exciting. I said that the underground metal was the most important plug, but this is the most exciting plug. And I can say it because they posted it on their page, so I'm not spoiling anything. The Devil's Level is at Firebrand Studio working on a new album.
Nice.
Yes. And Devil's Level, guys, I know somebody is listening to this. You know what you must do. Send a new track our way. You know we're going to play it. You know I love me some Devil's Level. Ian, I've told you before, when I got the CD in the mail, the thing stayed in the truck for at least a couple of days when I just played that EP over and over again. I love that band. So really excited that they're back in the studio. Fuck yeah, boys. That is badass. All right, let's get into some more tunes. When it comes to the Golden Tornado Award, which is something we plan to do our anniversary of the second year of the show, so that'll be in February, we may have to come up with a new category, and this category might be Best Band Name. We're going to listen to Chained to the Bottom of the Ocean out of Springfield, Massachusetts. The song is called The Chalice from the album Obsession Destruction. It's very, the low tempo. I was saying how I was thinking to myself, if you took certain patterns of the song, it could almost be used in like a horror movie.
Yeah. It's spacious doom.
Yeah.
But like it's got black/death metal edge.
Well, it starts to speed up.
Yeah.
And when the change up comes, it comes harder.
But
I was just gonna say, I feel like it complements the really creepy fucking vocals in the song.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I feel like part of what gives it that sort of horror-y, creepy vibe is that black metal edge, not the death. The Cradle of Filthy sort of
right.
I want to kill you.
like evil gnomes.
Yeah.
As opposed to people with corpse paint on. Like it's a different area of death metal, isn't it? And it's a bit higher.
It's kind of symphonic,
Yeah, but with the vocals, the vocalist's got slightly less gain on his voice.
Right.
Like natural gain, not like gain on a mic.
Yeah, studio, right.
But like you're pushing slightly less hard and you're making it a bit more spoken wordy.
I feel like this band would be a real trip to see live.
Yeah.
Like this would be legitimately. I hope they have like a cool stage show because.
I bet they.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
Yeah, I bet they do.
That was really cool. That's another band I haven't really known about them too long, and I thought, we gotta bump these guys up the list because people really enjoy them.
And like Adam said, great effort on that name.
Yeah. Because of this band, if anybody from the band listens to us, you are the reason now that we have a category for greatest name because you're definitely a contender. Chained to the Bottom of the Ocean is such a sick fucking name.
But it's an unspoken area of being in a band that like non-musicians don't really understand. Like names are very important, band names and song names. Like, well, you can take two approaches. You can take the approach where it doesn't matter at all, and you just name your songs and your band whatever you like.
Right.
But generally speaking, the choice of the band name is quite a difficult decision among the band.
Sure.
And finding something that everybody agrees on and sort of everyone feels like represents them and all of that is quite difficult. And like finding a good name that everybody's like, that's gold dust.
Right.
There's thousands of good band names, but then finding one that's fucking great that stands out. You're like, oh, you've nailed it with your name.
Yep, good job, boys. Good song and even better name. All right, people. We're going to get into everybody's favorite part of the show that sometimes happens and sometimes does not happen. Got another Ask Ian. Dear Ian, what is your favorite guitar? And why? Hold on. What is your favorite guitar? And what is your favorite head and cab and favorite pedal? So I get guy wants a gear rundown.
Yeah, a rig. Or
what
are we talking? Out of mine or dream?
No, you. Well, I guess favorite. I guess could be anything, but I think if I were interpreting this my way, I would think from your collection, which you have.
Right. So I have a blue SA series. I'm going to get shouted at for the way I say this brand name. I always have. I'm going to explain why and how afterwards. Ibanez. Everybody goes, it's Ibanez. An Ibanez. Yeah. And I go, my name's Ian. It's spelled with an I. It's not pronounced iron.
Perfect.
And they go, oh, well, yeah, true. So, and also I argue that it was originally a Spanish company. And that would have been Ibanez.
That would have made more sense, right?
But yeah, I have an Archtop S series of that I got a few years ago that I adore. And it's the first guitar I've ever test played before I bought, and it's my newest guitar. The other guitars I own, I've either purchased from friends or been given, or the exception is my first guitar, which I have, Silver Sparkle Gretsch, which I bought with my first a paycheck from my first proper job. It was like a present to myself. Yeah, my blue Ibanez is the one that I end up playing everything on. I prefer Strat style guitars over Les Paul style guitars. Because they're lighter, but I also find they're more versatile. For me, I can get a bigger range of tones out of a S-shaped guitar than a Les Paul shaped guitar.
Yeah.
But then Ibanez specifically try to make their guitars do as many varieties of things as possible. So that's like really versatile. It's actually a tie with my guitars between that and a really, 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 really cheap Yamaha Pacifica that's quite old now. My dad bought it about 20 years ago when they first brought the Pacifica line out. My dad had never had an electric guitar and had always had acoustic guitars, and was like, oh, I really want to buy myself an electric guitar, and started looking into like the best cheap guitars at the time. And the Pacifica at the time was like new, and they were like, oh, this is amazing for the money. And it cost him like 120 quid or something. I don't know whether, well, I know the Pacificas have gone on to have a fantastic reputation anyway. Like 20 years later, they have got a reputation as really good guitars. But I don't know whether he just hit gold with that particular one.
Right.
But it's amazing. And everybody who's ever played it says the same. My best mate, who hates Strats and is a Les Paul man, loves that guitar and comes to my house and picks that one up. And it's just got something about it, and it's really cheap. And I love that guitar, but I play that a lot. So it's a tie between those for guitars. Amp and cab wise and pedal wise, I run through a Helix LT, which I bought for myself as a present from some money I inherited. But basically, that and the Gretsch are the two things I've ever bought myself.
Hell yeah. There is also a PS onto this question, which I'll read now. It says, P.S. If you're a Kemper guy, we have nothing to chat about but line 6.
Okay, well, that's good because I have a line 6.
There you go.
Helix. But yeah, in that, obviously you have a lot of heads and cabs and pedals.
Right.
But as a musician, you do tend to end up gravitating to the same ones.
Right. Find what you like.
Most of my songs are based around one preset that I've spent years developing, and like every song I just change that preset slightly to adjust it. But it's a good starting point.
Right.
And that is based off of twin dual head situation, dual head, dual cab. So it's a stereo rig, but played into mono. So it's one thing just squeezed together.
Got it.
But it's 2 amps. It's a Mesa Boogie Mark IV. I like the dual Rex and stuff, but I'm more of as I got older, more of a lower gain person than a higher gain person. And the Mark IV is more of a rock gain amp than a metal gain amp. Whereas the dual Rex and triple Rex are like metal, like Metallica, and it's a bit more rock based. And it's the one that Petrucci uses from Dream Theater. He uses the Mark IV.
Cool. Nice.
So it's that. And on the other side is it's the Rev generator. Red channel, which is again the more rock one. But that's 2 lower gain amps running together, so it makes a higher gain sound together.
Nice.
And pedals, I tend to just put a Tube Screamer or a Tube Screamer variant with the gain down low, the level up high to tighten things up. My dream effect that I end up using on everything, and I just cannot live without, and I just find it the most inspiring thing to plug into my guitar, is a delay pedal.
Okay.
Never been a fan of reverb, but I do love playing with delays, and picking over delays gives you a nice effect. If you match the tempo of the delays, you get some nice effects.
Right.
Things like that. I also use delays on leads all the time. Vocals, I use delay a lot. And a lot of the stuff that I've recorded, I'll experiment with running vocals through effects on my Helix.
That's cool.
just see it because there's compressors and things on there you can use, and there's like EQs, and there's obviously effects. You can run it for all sorts of stuff. But I've got a room reverb that I've created on there, so I'll run the drums into my Helix to add a room sound, and I've got another room vocal room, so I'll run my vocals into that and re-record it, so it sounds like I'm in a better room than I am. Just because obviously I'm doing this at home, so part of it, and when you're doing it digitally, you're missing the room sounds from things that you get with mics, and that's a big part of what you actually hear, which is why a lot of people who use digital amps, their recordings will sound unnatural because there's no room harmonics in there.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll record all of my instruments, get them all, and they'll all sound really dry. And then essentially it sounds like the room. You know when you're outside a bar and the door's shut and there's a band playing?
Right.
And you hear all the bottom end and none of the top end. And you hear a bit of the vocals, but it's mainly do.
Yeah, you're getting all that bass.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like. And then I'll run everything into that and record it and add that back into the recording. So it's then the band playing in a room, and I add that back into the recording. But yeah, that's how I record. I mean, if we're talking dream wise, I'd love to have like a tube valve amp, a cab and stuff like that, but it's just not it's not practical for me, and it's not how I've spent the last 12 years working. So
yeah, because you love that Helix.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, I was forced to use digital amp really through not having the ability to set an amp up and record it with a mic and things like that. So I went into amp modelers, and I struggled for years. I had tried loads of different ones. Some I liked, some I didn't, but I was never really happy with the results I got until I got that Helix and started experimenting with it and realizing what I could use it for. Because it's not just like I record my bass through it because it's got bass amps and cabs. So it's everything for me, really. It's also a recording interface. Like I record my guitars through it. I don't record my vocals and stuff through it. I'd use a Scarlett interface for that, or any of the other stuff I've got. But the point is, all of my equipment, I tried to get stuff that I can use for more than one thing. Because
that makes sense.
I'm poor, and I try to, and I also am not interested in only doing one thing.
Right.
So like for instance, part of the reason I like having an electric drum kit is so that I experiment with setting the pads as sample pads, and I add those into songs. The drum kit, I'm using it to do other things, and I try to get versatile equipment and use it for more than one thing. Keyboard, it can be 100 different instruments. Drums can be different things. You can do a lot with like a Helix, or like I say, free amp emulators. There's plenty of really good free. I mean, there's some really good amp emulators around now that don't cost very much or are free.
Right.
So it's just when I came across some money when I got an inheritance, I was like, no, the one thing that would stop me needing anything forever, really, if I spend it on that, I will not be disappointed, and I never have been. Like, as a musician, you buy equipment sometimes and you're slightly disappointed in it, and you can't help that. It doesn't quite do what you were hoping it to do, or you can't work it how you want it to work, or there's various reasons, but sometimes you don't click with equipment and you end up regretting buying it, and you've got to get rid of it or and replace it. But that, I've never once questioned spending that amount of money on it, and it's like twice as much money as I've ever spent on anything.
There's a shining endorsement for Helix. If you're on the fence about Helix, go Helix.
Also, I've got to say the best thing about it is the software support and upgrades on Line 6 Helix. And various stuff. I've got, since I bought that, I've gained about 10 amps and cabs and various effects since I bought it for nothing. Because when they bring new things out, if you already own it, you can update it. They don't charge you for the new stuff. They just
that's cool. Good to know.
So like that's fantastic. Like everything new they bring out, if it's available for that, you get it for nothing.
Nice.
You
Well,
spent a lot of money on it.
fair enough. Yeah. Well, good to know. If you're like I said, if you're on the fence about a Helix, there is a shining endorsement.
Yeah, I couldn't recommend them enough.
That is another Ask Ian from our friend the Hammer. Thank you, Hammer. Always appreciate your questions.
Sorry for going on.
No worries. I think he knew that when he asked the question. I mean, a guy that does his own solo stuff from his house is obviously going to have high inputs about gear, pedals, all those sorts of things. So I think old Hammer knew that when he asked the question. So thanks again, Hammer. Really appreciate that. That was this week's Ask Ian. We're going to jump back into some tunes. And if my numbers are correct, we are already on track 5. All right, very cool. We're going to go a little different this time. I think this might be the first time. Well, some bands, I guess you could say, cut the line on what could be punk, but this is the first legit punk track that Black Tornado Podcast has played, because I like punk music, and Ian's a Brit, so of course he loves punk music. We're going to listen to a band called Another Contender for Greatest Name.
I've got to say this, I'm so glad I don't introduce the bands on this one. Good luck, Adam.
You got it. We're going to listen to a band called the Midget Ticklers. This song is called Your Car's on Fire from the album Aren't Going Anywhere.
Yeah, like that was just a happy time skate punk song to me.
I was gonna say this could have been one of the songs added to the Black Tornado skateboard playlist.
Yeah, but this is the side of punk I really do enjoy, because although you said I'm from the UK, I should love punk. I don't love punk actually. I'm not that big of a punk fan.
Okay.
Like I said, my best mate is the one that came from listening to punk. I came from classic rock and stuff like that. But like there's certain punk bands I'm alright with, but in general I do really like what I've just called happy time skate
Yeah.
punk, and then ska, which is punk mixed with trumpets.
No, let me tell you, ska is punk rock if you add mozzarella cheese sticks. That's ska music. It's punk rock. You put mozzarella cheese sticks and maybe like a firework or two, and that's ska music.
Oh, you got to give yourself a big quiff as well, like the rockabilly quiff. That's
Yeah,
a big
yeah,
part of
yeah.
ska.
And
And
you have
two-step.
and you got to have the stand-up bass. You can't have an electric
Oh
bass.
yeah.
Well, I think now we're getting into like rockabilly kind of shit.
It's still, but yeah, like it that talking of band names, like you say about like good bands, and that the name of that band, I can't help but laugh at
Such a
because
great
it
name.
is hilarious. But also, before you listen to the song, you look at a band name and you guess
Right.
what it's going to sound like.
Yeah.
And you see a band called the Midget Ticklers, and you go, I hope this is just one of them bouncy, happy, skatey. Like we're saying, scary, punky, and it was. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you get it. Like,
Yep.
we're
You
in
guys.
an area. Yeah, great, good
Oh, that
stuff.
was good. A super quick story. When I was in middle school, met this kid, and he had a spiked bracelet on.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool because, spiked bracelets are one of the things that transcends punk rock and heavy metal. We're all wearing spikes.
Yeah.
So I asked him, hey, man, where did you get that? Well, he's a DIY punker. He goes, I made this. He goes, I can make you one. I'm like, get the fuck out. I go, absolutely. He didn't charge me for material costs. And the very next day, he brought me very similar, almost the same one, this punk rock bracelet with the studs on it. And I wore that fucker until it about fell to pieces. And he and I quickly became good friends. He was a hardcore punker. I was a metalhead. It sounds like the start of an Avril Lavigne song, which, if we're talking about punk, we have to talk about Avril Lavigne, because if you know anything about punk, you know that Avril Lavigne invented punk rock. And so we have to all stop for 2 seconds and say thank you to Avril Lavigne for creating punk rock, because we all know that's factual and absolutely true.
I've got to say, though, she does look better than a lot of people who play punk.
And I love Avril Lavigne. I'm not even kidding. It's all factual and all my real opinion. Avril Lavigne created punk. Mustard Plug Who? Never heard of them. never heard of these other bands you're talking about. Danzig Who? Never heard of it. Avril Lavigne was obviously making music far before the Ramones had ever picked up guitars.
Adam,
Yo.
she was a girl, he was a boy. Can I make it any more obvious?
No, you can't, because the song made it as obvious as it needed to be.
He was a skater boy, Adam. She said to you later, boy. Like, later, boy. Later, boy.
In my personal life, if you're around me and you ever make anything complicated, instead of asking you, why are you making things so complicated? I will say to you, you're being a real Avril Lavigne right now. Why do you have to go and make things so complicated? This is the most fun I've ever had talking about a non-metal person. But of course, to be fair, she was on the Metallica MTV thing, so she's also as metal as she is punk.
And also, she was married to Chad Kroger, so she's also responsible for killing rock music.
Hey, you mean making rock music better? We all know how great Nickelback is.
I've got to say, in their defense, they're not for me, but that is an area of rock and sort of crossover rock that does serve a function. In that, there are a lot of people who, on myself included, whose early journey from music doesn't start with metal. If your parents weren't into metal, you have to discover it some kind of way.
Yeah, a friend, something like that.
Yeah, and for some people like me, I was into like indie bands and indie music, and played in a few, and then started getting into rock and stuff like that, classic rock and like the famous. But then you start finding new rock bands, and the first ones you find are the crossover ones, and they're the ones that do that annoying thing that I was saying about pop songs earlier, where they're well structured, they're well laid out, they don't play the bits you like enough, so you want to listen to it again. Like
Right.
there are some in a couple of like in Nickelback's early albums, there are a couple of songs where you're like, fucking hell, it's got a riff in it. Like,
Yeah, well, let me stop you right there. Listeners of Black Tornado, I don't care if you're the biggest gatekeeper or the biggest metalhead ever. Don't lie to me and say that you haven't heard a song way outside of your preferred genre that you didn't instantly fall in love with. You know you did,
Exactly.
because it happens to everyone.
and I'm one of those people. I'm not ashamed by my width of musical loves and influence. Like some of the songs that are in my iTunes collection over the years that my mates have gone, what the fuck, while they've been scrolling, and I go, yeah, it's a good album.
Well, I'll give you this one because you're a Brit. I don't know if you can appreciate it because maybe you don't give a shit about them. If you want to hear the speakers in my truck just about pop, put some Spice Girls in my motherfucking truck and we will crank that shit. And if you don't sing, you get thrown out of the truck.
Now here's a story from A to Z. You want to get with me and
Yes.
listen to You got M in a place I like sitting in your face. You got Chilla MC action in easy beat.
Yeah,
Mate.
guy gets it. Now they were,
Mate, I don't
huge
get it.
here.
I was fucking that age when every
Well, they were
girl,
huge here. So, I mean, I imagine they had to be like the second coming of the fucking Beatles.
Jesus Christ, when I was at primary
Everywhere,
school,
right?
Yeah, Jesus Christ, when I was at primary school through junior school up to like the beginning of teenage years, where thankfully they split up, but then obviously it carried on.
Right.
But I was here when it happened, and I'm like,
Right.
I don't like them, and yet I've just instantly sang the fucking songs back to you, and I could sing numerous songs back to you because I had to live through them.
I think what happens too is when you're younger, especially with metalheads, but I guess it could be applied to anything. When you're a teenager and you're a metalhead, there's a part of your life where all other music doesn't matter. It's just metal. I just
yeah.
want to listen to metal. And then you fast forward 20 years and you're like, you know what? That song fucking ripped. Like I'm old enough to be comfortable with whatever I'm listening to. So if I want to get in my car and my truck and I want to listen to the Spice Girls or another one, personal friends of mine will confirm this, I have every Matchbox 20 CD.
Oh yeah. I've got a friend
love-
who was.
Love me
I've
some
got a friend
Matchbox.
at school who was mad into Matchbox, like
Love 'em.
mad. But yeah, like when you were saying about the journey as you get older, this is not something anybody else would find like an issue, but I hated the 80s
Okay.
when I was growing up in any area of music. It's not a metal specific thing, but in metal, I hated 80s metal really bad.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's weird because there's a few guitar players from the 80s who are like heroes of mine. For instance, Jason Becker is God.
Yeah.
And like I'm a big fan of the neoclassical shredders and the
Right.
virtuosos, so Vai, Satriani, Malmsteen, all of that and how it went up. But Becker to me is the god of all of them. But the issue I had is I hated all of the vocals in 80s hair metal.
In hair metal. I was going to say, because, dude, if we're talking just 80s metal, there's some great metal. But if you mean specifically hair metal, I get it.
Well, this is the problem. Because I hated hair metal as much as I did, I also hated the 80s pop scene. And I hated apes, like the synth, new romantic.
Yeah. Cocaine
thing.
music.
Yeah. it's just not. It was never my thing. So I wrote off the entire decade for my entire life. It was like, I just don't like. There was certain songs and people that I liked from the era, but not in general. I was like, I hate the 80s. And
because 80s metal, you've got some good. I mean, off the top of my head, Anthrax was early 80s. Slayer was early 80s. So you have a few.
Yeah.
You have a handful out there. But I get what you're saying.
But yeah, it wasn't until a year ago when I started learning drums, because I've got a mate who his main influence in music was the 80s metal scene. And it's like everything that influences the way he plays. And me and him work really well together. And it's always been a joke between us that, like, I hate the music he grew up listening to, and he hates the music I grew up listening to. So we shouldn't be able to play well together.
Right.
Because he grew up as a punk going into 80s hair metal. I grew up as an indie kid going into classic rock. So our influences are completely different. But then there's certain bands that we cross over on. But since I started learning drums, he told me to use a lot of hair metal songs because they're really good mid-tempo songs. Because I have a certain basic set of skill on the drums without ever having learned drums, just through being a bass player. So I have a lot of rhythm knowledge, and it turns out I have a certain sort of, through years of tapping onto tables, I've refined an ability to drum a bit.
Right.
So I wasn't starting at the start, basically. And so he was like, look, use hair metal because it's mid-tempo. It's not difficult. It's pop structured. So you know when the changes are coming. There's not going to be weird time signatures. Learn the songs really quickly, and they're catchy. And like,
a lot of like AC/DC, for example.
Yeah.
Which technically aren't 80s, but obviously they were around during the 80s.
Yeah, and what he dropped off a load of stuff, and a load of the stuff he dropped off was AC/DC. He dropped off a few Maiden songs.
Yeah.
He dropped off loads of Motley Crue because he's a big Motley Crue fan.
Sure.
Loads of Motley Crue, and then like other hair metal bands, and but he was like, no, just along to these songs, and like I've learned to really actually quite appreciate that area now as I've got older. I'm like, oh no, there is something here that's actually really good. There's certain singers that I'm like, no. I could go on a little rant about Dave Mustaine if you want, but if we're talking vocalists, I hate.
Heavy pass on Mustaine. Real quick, I want to make sure and throw this out before we.
Mortal man. Watch him become a god.
He's such a goof. All right, real quick before I forget to say this, I want to give a shout out to Scissorbread Records out of Indianapolis for all of your punk rock needs, and that is how I found Midget Ticklers. Scissorbread Records has a lot of great punk bands. They're out of my home state and cool part of Indiana, Indianapolis. So yeah, make sure and show them some love. All right, we're through 5. Got our playlist knocked out. We got our plugs read. Let's see, I believe that's it. All right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. As always, I have been your co-host, Adam.
I've been here.
See you guys in 2 weeks. Take care.
Peace.